Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Next Team podcast, Formula One, of course. And I'm your host Tarun. I'm joined by our two regulars from our TNT group, that is Yash as well as BK. And we also have a special guest joining us, or well, rather rejoining us. That's our good friend Sharath. And we are coming to you one day after all the crazy action of the Silverstone weekend. And well, before we get into it, what's up, guys? How y'all feeling?
I'm good. I'm good.
Did
Actually,
everyone enjoy the weekend?
that's a lie. I'm not good. Shal could have won, but we'll
Yep.
get to it later.
I mean, we'll get into that, and we'll get into quite a bit more of it in a bit. But right just before that, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, please do check us out on YouTube. Please do subscribe to us, and please do follow us on Spotify as well. You're on both these places as the Next Team Podcast. And you can find all our links on our Instagram bio, and we are on Insta as at the Next Team SG. Please do follow us there as well for all the latest updates. So, uh, well, actually, before we get down to the Silverstone weekend, I want to start with some pre-weekend news that came up. And I think one of the first ones, one of the most impactful ones that happened was Lando getting mugged at Wembley after the England game. And oh man, that's just sad.
Yeah, it is.
That's just sad.
Honestly, I'm appalled at the lack of security at
Mm-hmm.
at Wembley for that game. Like something like 200 spectators didn't even have tickets. They managed to like barge their way through.
Yeah,
So, with things like that, I feel since it's such a headlining game, a lot of celebrities will attend, and I think they should have tightened security, obviously, and at least provided Lando with a escort to his car. I think he's
Right.
a British driver who races in Formula One for a British F1 team. A lot of people know who he is.
Mm.
The least you could do is give him an escort, but maybe he declined it. I don't know, but he got he got mugged, and it's never a nice feeling. And
I
I
mean,
just hope it's okay.
for me, I would say instead of the security, my main concern, or rather, what I felt which was really disgusting was basically the behavior of English fans throughout, especially once England lost. I'm sure you guys covered in the football episode what happened with all the
Yep.
three Bukayo, Rashford, and Sancho and stuff. But then it was just the whole way the English fans portrayed themselves was just not acceptable. I mean, I'm not saying like generalizing it as the entire English nation. I'm just saying that there's always a certain groups or fragments of fans who do not belong in the sport, and they are the ones who keep on bringing this up, and yeah, it's we obviously don't want these things to happen to any athlete, let alone athlete, even anyone, in general walks of life. So yeah, it was really sad to see Lando. I'm pretty sure that he was shaken up after whatever happened, but regardless, he came up this weekend and delivered a good performance, which we'll eventually get to. But yeah, definitely not a good thing.
Yep. Well, moving on from that incident, we have the 2022 F1 car, the official reveal. And well, what do you guys think of what's your initial thoughts just looking at the car? Maybe Sharath, you want to start it off?
Yeah, it looks funky, I guess. I don't know a particular way to describe it, but yeah, it definitely looks different from the cars that we've seen in the last 10, 15 years maybe. I remember Ricardo describing it being very close to the 2007, 2008 cars. And yeah, I mean, the whole point of a new car design is so that we can have closer racing, and racing that that is like we watch it and we're not going to get bored after, I don't know, 30 minutes. And yeah, so I think Sky Sports, when they did a review with Ted Kravitz and Jensen Button, they were saying that this is a car that most probably will be very edgy because today's cars have a lot of downforce. So uh, maybe the cars that will come next year, drivers can have a bit of slip, going into certain corners. They can't lean on the car as much. And I think, well, in my opinion, I think this will benefit the drivers who have more experience. Your rookie Alonso. Yeah, yeah. That's my thoughts. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I believe the cars were designed with just closer following and good better racing in mind. And there were some stats on how much easier it would be to follow, right? Vicky, you were texting in the group the other
Yeah,
day.
if I'm not wrong, so currently you've really put me on the spot here, but okay, here we go. So current cars, when they are following 20 meters behind, if I'm not wrong, they lose about, I think 40% of their downforce. And with this new design at 20 meters, they only lose 4% of downforce. So that means that the cars will be more stable, and that means that the chasing car can hug the rear of the leading car closer, so to give us for more tighter racing. So maybe let's say in some straights, let's just for example Silverstone just happened in the Hamilton straight, maybe let's say I think yesterday we saw the Ferrari struggle to catch the McLaren. I'm just using this as an example. So that kind of situations won't really happen. The Ferrari will be able to overtake the McLaren more easily, and vice versa. So that in turn leads to more overtakes, and more overtakes means more fun races.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Of course.
I mean, of course, like for me, the whole point is like in theory, whatever they have put across of the F1 2022 cars and so on, is that we are going to get closer racing and stuff. But I watched this analysis by Julian Palmer, and he had a very good insight to that, where he actually said that, theoretically, this is what we are looking to achieve. But then teams are always bringing up their own innovations and stuff in the legality of the sport, of course, which might actually, it could sometimes put that as a little bit of a hindrance, because sometimes teams are just able to innovate in such a way that it fits the rules, and then it gives them advantage as well, competitive advantage. So I mean, I guess we'll just wait and see how it looks. Like, to me, the car looks pretty good, pretty fantastic. It's of course a lot different from what we are used to looking. It's a bit looking like IndyCar-ish type of car in a way, you could say. But I mean, if it provides close racing, then that's all that matters to me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Just
for
to
sure.
throw in a quick correction. At 20 yards, it's 25%, and then with the new design, it goes to 4%. Yeah,
Oh,
just so I have
that's
the
quite a
right.
significant difference there.
Yeah, it's still significant.
Yeah.
And I also like the way I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I really like the way the car looks, especially like the rear wing with like it's
Yeah.
kind of a
It's
weird angle. It's almost like
a nice design.
it's almost like a inverted triangle, right? The rear wing.
Yeah.
Like I really like the design, and it looks very very futuristic, which has me very very excited, I guess, because apart from the racing itself, from a purely aerodynamic standpoint, this is an incredible piece of engineering, and I was completely impressed. And yeah, we'll see next year. Hopefully,
Yeah.
it pays off.
I mean, the biggest change came in the front wings, There's a lot of
Yeah,
changes in the front wings, and then with the new
Yeah.
18-inch tires as well.
yeah,
It just makes the car look a lot like a beast,
yeah,
on track. So it will be very interesting to see. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but on the F1 social media page, they actually created artistic impressions of the current livery of
yeah,
F1
yeah.
teams
I saw that.
on those new cars, and they look pretty damn sick to me.
Yeah,
So I mean, let's just hope that there's
Yeah.
just so much hype around these new cars, it actually delivers and does not disappoint.
yeah. And the thing is, something that will that should keep our expectations in check is the fact that the V6 hybrids were actually touted to give closer racing as well, where I, and which it's completely ironic because the moment the V6 hybrid engines came in, all the like Mercedes started dominating all the way. So I hope it doesn't become like that. I hope it works as intended, and yeah, we'll see.
I guess
Yeah.
that's the risk, when you go into new regulations. Because actually, right now, especially in the past couple seasons, the racing has been pretty damn good if you look at it. I mean, yes, even though last year it was Mercedes leading, but in terms of the overall races which we were having, there's lots of banger races in as well. And obviously
Yeah.
now we're getting treated to this title fight between Red Bull and Mercedes, which we have been waiting for the past 7 years before.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I mean, there's just this question whether do we actually need these changes coming in now, because racing is going on so good. But
Yeah.
let's just see. Let's just wait and see what happens next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Fingers crossed for Alfa Tauri and Aston Martin. Constructors Championship battle.
You never know. Maybe Williams might win it next year.
Dude,
Yeah, man.
honestly, I think they are kind of on the resurgence, Williams, because they have
Mhm.
like a huge input of cash right now through firstly with Latifi's dad, but the Williams family don't own a majority stake in the team anymore. So there's going to be a lot of funds injected into the team. So maybe you might see the 80s Williams again. You never know.
I hope so. I think we all would like to see Williams back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think Sharath just confirmed George Russell 2022 World Drivers Champion.
Or
Not in Mercedes, in Williams.
not in Mercedes, but Williams. Oh my God.
It would just be very George Russell to move to Mercedes and then Mercedes don't win it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a brand new look for the cars, and I think that's a good way to bring in kind of like a new era, essentially, with all the new rules and regulations. But one team that has committed to this new era, that's of course Alfa Romeo, and they have extended their F1 stay. And I mean, Sharath, you're the Kimi fan here. I mean, well, we're
Yeah.
all Kimi fans in some way, but and I would think it's a bit of a bold step, maybe, but maybe at the same time, it's not something that is totally unexpected. Right. What do you guys think?
Wait, for Alfa Romeo to extend their
To extend, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what it does is that it gives the team a sense of security. Because these couple of years, there's been a lot of talk about Alfa Romeo possibly leaving the sport, and I mean, let's be honest, they've not been improving for like a year or so. So
Yeah.
hopefully, this partnership, I mean, this extended partnership, can bring some form back. Maybe, I mean, I hope so. But yeah, what do y'all think?
I guess they're kind of banging on the new rules as well. Maybe they have more faith in what they are producing, because right now they're just fighting for very minimalist points. Alfa Romeo, like they get into points, it's kind of like a big deal because you have Alpine, Alfa Tauri, and what's the other constructor?
Aston Martin?
Aston Martin. Yeah, fighting for the last points positions. So. I guess that's what probably, in my opinion, what Alfa Romeo have in stake is that continuing that partnership, they can build a solid foundation going into next year and hopefully at least compete for more points than they are doing right now.
Yeah, and I don't think they would stay if they didn't have confidence in their ability to perform given the new regulations. I think a lot of teams are banking on that. Most notably Haas. I mean, this year they've openly admitted they're just turning up to races, coming in 19th and 20th, and they'll look to improve. They're focusing all their resources on the 2022 season. So I think even with a team as low as Haas, even if they are putting their hopes on the 2022 season, I feel like Alfa Romeo should do the same. And honestly, they're very, very well-run team. They have, I mean, their part owner is a driver. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so like he understands the car. He will always act in the best interest of the team and not himself as a driver. That's a very, very rare thing in Formula One. So I think I think it's the right decision for them to stay on. Just maybe have a couple of years in the new regulation era, and I think they'll be fine. Honestly, I think I can see them staying for a few more years, like a lot more years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're not in a very bad situation as let's say Haas are in right now.
Yeah.
They have a decent car who can get into points on a very good day. So it's not like everything's completely lost for Alfa Romeo. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's remains to be seen how they will fare next year. And well, I think that's kind of sums up the pre-race news that came out. Anything else that you guys want to bring up?
No, not on my side.
If not, we can move on to what was pretty much the most exciting weekend of this year. Silverstone. Obviously, we had the inaugural sprint qualifying, and
And we had fans back as well in full capacity.
Yep, we had a full
Yes.
house, I think 300 something thousand
Yeah.
people over the entire weekend. And we had a very controversial day of racing on Sunday. So
Yeah.
let's get into all of that. It'll start with Friday. Let's just go in chronological order. That's qualifying. So I want to
It's
start
just-
this off.
I just
I
want to
just
say one thing before we go in.
All right,
It's weird that we're kind of talking about Friday now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a first for TNT F1 that we are talking about Fridays. We have literally never done it before. So inaugural for us as well. So yeah, Friday. I want to start this off. I just want to say that regardless of the result on Friday, which I mean obviously I was very, very happy with, but regardless of that, I think it was a very exciting quali to watch as compared to whatever we've seen in past races, because like with just 1 hour of testing time, it's just pretty much anybody's race, anybody's quali to take essentially.
Yeah.
And
There's
even
no.
if you don't keep this sprint qualifying system, I would like to see the limited running time a bit more.
Yeah. And I think the main one was also the fact that no one had to worry about any tire restrictions. So everyone was just on softs. So
Soft
I
for
think
the
that
whole-
was
whole session.
so that was quite interesting to see. George Russell getting Q3, that was very nice.
Yeah, it was.
And honestly speaking, Hamilton getting pole, I did not expect it. I mean, we all know it's sort of like his number one track to perform on, Silverstone. I think he's had like I know the number one in Friday qualifying doesn't count as pole position, which is super weird. But I think he has had like 9. Oh man, I don't really remember correctly, but he performs very, very well in Silverstone. I guess we all know that. So even though he performs very well, I didn't really expect him to perform as well. I thought Max would take the first position, both on Friday and Saturday, but Lewis actually surprised me with the first spot on Friday. But I mean, it all changed on Saturday. But
Yeah, I think that's a surprising thing because if you look at FP1, Verstappen was 7 tenths ahead of everyone. So it kind of took everyone by surprise that Lewis got pole. But I guess that just, I mean, what BK said is true. Hamilton just loves Silverstone. You know, it's one of his best tracks. And, you know, with the like British fans and everyone there, it just kind of gives you as a driver, as a person, that additional boost of confidence and motivation to go all in for, which probably got him that, well, I was going to say pole position, but yeah, that first in qualifying.
I think it was Speed King or something.
Yeah, Speed King. Yeah.
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 wait, is that the actual name?
Yep. He got the pole tire, but it said Speed King.
Oh please.
I think if one thing which I disagree throughout the whole weekend was this, that qualifying pole position should always be the one going to the fastest guy.
Yeah.
And I feel we shouldn't ruin that integrity of pole positions by having a sprint race as the guy winning that as getting pole position.
Yeah.
So I mean, even though this grid of Friday, which in the whole spectrum, it doesn't really matter much. But still, I think pole position should still go to that guy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But going into Saturday, I felt it was quite entertaining. Like, in my opinion, the sprint race was pretty fun. Like, 17 laps. Alonso made it look like it was an F1 2021 game on easy difficulty, getting past everyone on the first lap. But I actually kind of liked it, to be honest. Like, I feel the sprint race gives you that additional incentive of going up the grid, because some cars in the grids might not have the best of quality pace. I'll give you an example. Let's say Alfa Romeo, especially, we're talking about them just now. They might not have the best quality pace because others are just better. But Alfa Romeo tend to have pretty good race pace if you tend to look at their trend. They might not end up necessarily in the points, but they might end up close to the points. So what this sprint race gives them is a good opportunity to get up the grid a bit more so that they can get into the points eventually. But then the criticism I have of sprint race is that there should be more incentives for all the drivers. Like I know I get that this is just a trial and everything, but if we were to make this a proper, let's say, format going forward, there needs to be more incentives for all the drivers, or at least for the top 10 at least. There should be some
Yeah.
incentives going forward,
Yeah.
because otherwise, as a driver, I might not be looking to take any risk, because if I know I'm in a good position, I must just try and, park my car and drive my own race. So I think that's the only criticism I have of the sprint race. But I'm sure that, if we are looking to seriously consider this as a format going forward, I'm sure like the FIA and everyone would, have some better measures in place, which would actually not affect the on-track racing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. What do you guys think?
I think it was actually very, very entertaining. I'm not gonna lie, but I wonder if it is sustainable as a format week in, week out, because even right now, as we are talking about the sprint qualifying, I'm getting confused between the sprint qualifying and the race itself. Maybe it's a us problem, but or maybe it's a me problem, but I just need some getting used to it. I'm not a fan of not calling the fastest guy in qualifying as the person who's on pole. Changing the definition of pole position is very, very, I don't know, it grinds my gears. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm weird, but yeah. Other than that, actually, it's fun to watch. It's actually very, very fun to watch. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm really muddled up on this. Did Sergio Perez finish way back in sprint qualifying?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
retired at the last
He
lap.
retired.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why he started from the pits also,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because he had a component change, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm just apart from that, I think it's a very, very fun format. We still have 2 more races of this. I guess we can judge after that, I guess. So far so good. Yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, it's not like a bad thing or anything, so it's fine.
Yeah, I just want to add that maybe with the new 2022 cars coming in, that might actually be a lot better, because as we all know, the new cars are better in following and stuff. So this might just gives the driver that more, how do I put it? Like, making overtaking a lot easier. So because right now, sometimes because overtaking is a bit difficult, you lose downforce and stuff. Some drivers are very calculated in the amount of risk they take when going for the overtake. Whereas if you look at 2022 cars coming in, and if all said and done, everything works like it's intended to work, then it could actually prove to have some really good racing on track. But obviously, as fans, I think we need, if we are going to look to change, like PK said, it's going to be a bit, it's going to feel different, because we have not had a radical change in the format for a long time. But I think, like Tarun mentioned earlier, I am quite a fan of limited running time. Although teams might not be, but we as fans are. So, yeah. What about you, Sharath? What do you think?
I think I and Tarun were discussing about it, like after Friday and then through the weekend. The thing is, for us fans, it's definitely nice. I think it works really well because we just have more racing, which is what we want to see, closer racing. But I think for the drivers, like what you mentioned, it could go either way. You could have a very good qualifying, like George Russell and Sergio Perez. And then comes sprint qualifying, you actually end up on the grid lower. I think George Russell got a penalty going into Sunday, and then Sergio just spun out. So yeah, I like that it jumbles up the grid a bit, and yeah, like what Yash said, hopefully going forward they make a few tweaks. Yeah,
I think this is one area in which FIA has been quite open that in saying that they will make changes if they have to. And I think as it looks, it's a nice idea, but most likely it will need some tweaks, and I think they'll be happy to make some. But Sharath, you mentioned the George Russell penalty. Did either of you guys catch it? Yash, PK?
Yeah, I did. In my opinion, I felt it was a little too harsh. Because there was a lot of space between, like, if you look at it, when George locked up, obviously it was unintentional. And when he locks up in the manner he did, and Sainz tried to go around the outside, it was just unlucky. In my opinion, that was really a racing incident, and Sainz didn't get any damage, nor did he get any. I mean, well, he did lose places, but it wasn't anything of specific risk, Whereas what was more risky was Sainz rejoining the track. I don't know if you guys saw the images, but his rejoin was super risky, and he did not get any penalty, anything for that rejoin instead. Because when you're coming out of that corner, you're almost at 150 kilometers per hour on full throttle, and Sainz literally rejoined, and one driver just luckily went past him right when he rejoined.
Gasly almost T-boned him.
Yeah, that was super risky. So I felt George penalty was quite undeserved, but we all know FIA is, I don't know, man. I'll come into more about it in a while. I'm sure we all will. So I'll leave my opinions for that later.
Yeah. As for me, I also think that the penalty was I don't even think it was a penalty, to be honest. Yeah, even as a Ferrari fan, I can tell you that there wasn't a penalty. It really it sucked to see him like have such a nice qualifying, and then have to get hit with this kind of penalty. I mean, it's kind of I feel bad for him. He just whenever it seems like it's going well for him, he just yeah, that's it.
And in fact, he didn't have a bad sprint as well. He finished P9, which, to be fair, it was quite a bit higher than I thought he would.
Yeah, I expected him to fall out of the top 10 very quickly, but he managed to hold on, which is good. He even managed to beat the Alpine by, I'm seeing here, like 7/10. So I mean, that's pretty.
Ocon, right?
Yeah, Ocon, yeah. So that's pretty impressive.
Yep. So is that it for Friday and Saturday? Before we move on to
Can I just say
Sunday?
something?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was just nice to see the reaction of the crowd on qualifying. Do you see the crowd reaction to Russell's lap?
Right.
Yeah,
It was amazing.
He was having a lap of honor, but because he was the only car out, it was very nice to see.
They gave him like a standing ovation when he entered the pits. I was like, damn, that's nice to see him.
Yeah, it's just so good to have fans back, man. And I hope we can have more of such fans, in the future races to come.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm just curious. Lewis gets so much fanfare and George gets so much fanfare. Why doesn't Lando get the fanfare?
He does.
He did actually. Yeah.
But I feel like Lewis and George got way more.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true that Lewis and George got way more, but Lando still got a significant amount. I wouldn't say that he didn't get anything, because whenever he was wheel to wheel or racing with someone, he was actually, you could hear the audience cheering. So
Okay.
But it's very, very funny to hear the audience cheering so loudly for a German team. And yet the English team with the English driver seems to get lesser. But
yeah, exactly.
But actually, I don't know if you guys saw, but Lando actually had a lot of support in the crowd. Like, his, what's it called, esports team, Quadrant and stuff.
Quadrant,
Yeah. They had like a whole grandstand full of fans of Quadrant and everything. It was insane, actually. I don't know if you guys saw the images, but it was actually pretty cool, pretty sick.
Okay.
But yeah, I think as fan favorites is always Lewis and George ahead. But I'm pretty sure Lando is going to go up there very soon. I mean, look at his performances right now. He's the third best driver on the grid, third in the Constructors' Championship as well. So, it's rightly deserved for him.
Yeah.
I honestly was secretly hoping for a Lando podium, but it's okay.
Dude, I was hoping for a Lando win, man.
Yeah,
bro.
Exactly. With what was going on in front, I think Lando had an outside chance of a win. But we'll get there. We'll get there in a bit. So moving on to Sunday. So come on, guys. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is obviously Mazepin finishing above his teammate.
Oh yes, man. See, I always back my boy Mazepin. See, I always backed him. Finished ahead.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. See, closet Mazepin fan strikes again. It was a big day for Yash, obviously.
I have a rational explanation. I don't think the person in the other house was Mick Schumacher at all. I think it was a mule sent in by the KGB. They couldn't let the holy name of Mother Russia be tainted. They had to let Mazepin finish above Mick at least once. So I mean, it's honestly crazy. I actually had to take a double take when I first saw that. I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe it, actually. Yeah. But I mean, it really doesn't matter, does it? You're fighting for 19th and 20th. He's still, I mean, in my opinion, he's still the worst driver on the grid. Okay. So it really does.
I think it overtook under the pit stops. I heard, like, I was watching Ted Kravitz's notebook today morning, and Ted said that it was the pit stop which put Mazepin ahead, and then Schumacher just couldn't, overtake him after that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised. I knew there's no way. There's no way like Mazepin overtook Schumacher. There's no way it's happening. So, I mean, and this is a guy.
I think it happened one time in Baku, and they almost died. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, to be fair, on Saturday during the sprint race, he got spun by Mick.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he spun himself. Oh,
yeah, I thought he spun.
He got spun by Mick.
Oh.
Mick made contact with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, it was still counted as a spin by Mazepin.
Yeah. He still spun. The meme lives on.
Yes.
Doesn't matter how he spun.
I think this week the proper meme would be Spinala.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh god.
Oh my god.
It hurts for me to say, but that was a proper meme this weekend, and we'll get to that eventually.
In a moment, yes. But yeah, I mean, okay, that was clearly not the elephant of the room of the weekend by any means. But I do want to start this in kind of like a reverse grid order. Start from the bottom, and well, it was a race to forget for Checo.
Yeah,
it was not a good sprint, and following that, started from pit lane. He went up to, I think, broke into P10.
Yeah,
and then he was told to pit for fastest lap.
Yeah.
Actually, could he have made it to the end on those tires and kept it at P10? Was there any chance?
Actually, what happened with Checo was he pit early for he was on a hard tires, I think he started. And for some reason, Red Bull decided to pit him pretty early on lap 18 itself. Right. So he put him back on the grid, then he came back again, and he was actually pretty decently going into the points. And then Red Bull made their second stop, I think. And I don't know, did he do 3 stops? I think he did 3 stops, because I remember that. Yeah, and then the last stop was just so that Red Bull can rub it into Mercedes and get the fastest point out of Mercedes. Cause
that was purely like, I think that's the only reason they did it. I mean, not to spite Mercedes, of course. I think it's to take that one
point
away from them. So I think it's purely strategy. Unfortunately, it had to come at the expense of Perez finishing so low, but I think Perez drove well. I mean, it's just the situation. Like he had to play for the team, and he has been driving well for the team, I guess. He doesn't complain whenever he's told to let Verstappen pass, which is very nice. It's nice to see. Of course, we all know every single driver breaks eventually. So we'll see how long this goes. But for now, I think he's had a very, very respectable shift in the Red Bull car so far. And him finishing low is not really a cause for concern. I think he's still performing very well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this race actually was kind of Perez's own doing, because he spun and sprint quali, which put him all the way to the back foot. So this whole race result was kind of his own doing in a way, you could say. But then, like BK said, I think he's been doing reasonably good. And I think he knows himself as well that he is not in this fight for the championship. And his main job as a second driver is to get Max the championship and get Red Bull the Constructors' Championship as well. He's not doing, at least this season, for his own personal, good fighting for the championship. So I guess in that way, I don't think Perez would have had any difficulty, trying to just pit one more time to get that 1 point away from Mercedes. I know we just say it's 1 point, but that 1 point is actually pretty season-defining 1 point, that fastest lap. Exactly. And we won't get to know about it until we reach Abu Dhabi in a few months' time. So, it was pure strategy by Red Bull. And I'm sure that, Checo, I think the British Grand Prix are just a race to forget for him as a whole. But, we all know such a great driver he is. He'll bounce back next weekend, for sure.
Yep. Well, speaking of finishing low, well, there was someone who finished lower than Perez, much lower, and that is Sebastian Vettel, because he did not finish.
Yeah. I think yeah, it was a very, very, very straightforward. It was because of the spin, right?
Mm.
It's very, very straightforward. I don't remember who he was trying to overtake, but he just got too greedy, got on the power very, very early, and
It was Alonso.
spun out. Oh yeah, Alonso.
Mm.
Alonso was on smoke this weekend when he was incredible. Yeah, we will get to him eventually, but I think Vettel, it was kind of it's not really a mistake you want to see a 4-time world champion doing, because like to get early on the power is one thing, to put too much power is another thing, but if you do the two of them together, it doesn't look good. So I think it's a race to forget for him.
Yeah.
Usually those kind of mistakes are not really race ending, but it's just unlucky for him that he had to spin out. But yeah.
But he
I mean,
actually didn't retire because of that spin.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't
He didn't?
right after.
He had a mechanical issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a
After
mechanical
ending the
issue
race.
much later in the race.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I remember him spinning, and then so much was happening in the front. I saw Vettel got out, and then I just assumed that it was because of that. Okay, sorry, my bad, guys, my bad.
Yeah. No, but I think Vettel, how do I say it? He had a pretty good sprint quali actually. I can't remember where he qualified, but he actually moved up the grid from where he started in sprint. So after the first lap incident and then the restart, I think it was just a bit unfortunate, I guess, because like PK said, a 4-time world champion making that mistake is kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
But it happens. Sometimes you're just trying to get the extra speed compared to the guy beside you, that you just sort of forget the slight basics where you have to be gentle on throttle. It happens. And then I think after that he just couldn't recover back ahead. I think we know that Aston is not the quickest cars this year, so it became quite hard for him to overtake as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what issue he had, but I heard that he retired due to some mechanical failure.
Yeah. And speaking of Aston, of course, we have Seb's teammate, Lance Stroll. He actually had a pretty decent finish. Finished P8. And he...
Well, actually, if you look at qualifying, he had a horrible qualifying.
Yeah, sprint quali, right?
Yeah. No. The
actual
quali,
Friday.
The
Actual
actual
qualifying.
one on Friday, he only finished 15th. So he started the sprint on 15th and he ended it on 14th. Yeah, so that's, well, I mean, I guess it's a gain in position, but to finish 8th is actually quite impressive from 14th. And especially considering that in the past few races he's actually been lagging a bit, mostly when it comes to quali, but I think this is a nice, I think he can feel good about himself about this performance. Like the past 2 races haven't really been very kind to him. So yeah, I guess it's an overall good drive by Lance Stroll. And there are a lot more drivers in worse positions than him right now. Like you have Ocon still struggling, and anyone has anything else to say?
I mean, actually, Stroll, he's more of a Sunday driver than Saturday driver. He's like, he doesn't have the best of qualifying, like he doesn't have the best of 1-lap pace, but his race pace, his tire management is actually pretty good. And I feel he's a pretty underrated driver in my opinion. Like people always say that he's there because of his dad. Dad owns the team and stuff, because that's why he's there. But in my opinion, I truly believe that Lance has deserved his seat. He's a good Sunday driver. He drives well. He races like pretty cleanly as well. It's not aggressive and stuff. And he's a very lovely human being as well. I don't know if I guys told you this, but I actually had a pleasure of meeting him once in Singapore Grand Prix.
Wow.
Yeah, when he was at Williams, me and my, just a small story, sidetracking a bit, but me and my friend were at the team hotel, and I don't know, we were just looking for someone, and then Lance came out of the lift right in front of us, and I'm telling you, he is so freaking tall. Like, I see, he's younger than me, okay, but I look like I'm the kid in front of him. Yeah. But I mean, I honestly feel that Lance is one of the most underrated drivers on the entire grid. And I think before we move forward, I just want to give a shout out to Seb again. That Seb actually, I don't know if you guys saw, but he actually stayed back and cleaned up the grandstands and stuff.
Yeah.
And
nice.
it's a good touch by Seb, but I just want to say that it's this is something which should not be happening. Like as fans, if you go to grandstand and stuff, we should be
clean
picking
after
up
yourself. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be picking up our own litters and stuff, and someone who's there giving you the entertainment of racing for 2 hours and then going away and cleaning up your stuff for you. I think fans should be embarrassed about it. So
Yeah.
but shout out to Seb, man. I think it just shows what a classy driver he is. On track, off track, lovely human being, and he sticks to his initiative. I think he has this initiative where he's trying to have some climate change initiative. I think I can't remember. I read about it somewhere, but
something agro related, like agriculture related.
Yeah. So good stuff from Seb.
Yeah.
And well, moving a little bit further up, I want to talk about this. This is a very interesting point for me, and that is the Williams combined finished above Alfa Romeo. Williams had a P12 and 14 finish, and Alfa Romeo had a P13, 15 finish. And resident Kimi fan, what do you have to say about this?
Kimi would have finished ahead if he and Perez didn't make contact in the last few laps, I think. But I'll also say that actually Russell himself mentioned, they can be as fast in qualify 8 or 9, but on paper they're still the 9th fastest car on the grid, and that genuinely hurts their race pace in the long run. But yeah, I mean, I guess you all saw the battle. The reason why Perez pitted early was that he got stuck behind Gasly and Kimi for that long. So when Kimi pulled the trigger, Red Bull brought him in as well, and he pitted very early. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the news. One of the Alfa Romeo people said that Russell is making the difference in the Williams, which I agree wholeheartedly.
I don't think anyone can disagree.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of us secretly hope that Russell could land a points finish in front of his home crowd. I think that would have been amazing. But and I think on Alfa Romeo's side, they looked like they could have scored a point, but I think the teams like Alpine, Aston Martin just looked that bit quicker, so it's going to be harder. And fortunately, the race circuit is such that if you get stuck behind a car for a very long time, it's very hard for you to get past. So yeah.
I mean that's also one of the issues with the car right now. If you are following too long, then it's just gonna hurt your chance of overtaking more and more.
Yeah.
And then a little bit further up, we have Alpine, who had a pretty good finish to the race, I think. Ocon in P9 and Alonso in P7.
Alonso. Actually, someone else can take. I think I talked too much today.
I think Alonso is one of the drivers who really had a lot to benefit from the sprint quali. And I mean, obviously, it's something that goes two ways. Some drivers are gonna benefit off of it. Some drivers are gonna get hurt by it. Alonso made the best of it. He did get a warning on Saturday, didn't he, for weaving too much?
Oh yes, yeah. A lot of memes about that, about Alonso's line just being zigzag.
It was. I mean, it was a bit excessive, but I think he had a better race on Sunday. Kept it good. Had some nice moves. So overall, I think it's a good weekend for Alpine, especially for Ocon. I think he'll be very, very happy with a points finish. Hasn't been the best past few races for him. Ever since French Grand Prix? That was when he put pen to paper.
Ever since he put pen to paper, we talked about this last episode. Hasn't been good.
Finally he can break the streak a bit.
I'm just wondering, guys, because like I said, I'm kind of confused. Was it sprint qualifying or the race itself that Alonso had that amazing start where he made up like
sprint,
5 places
on the first lap itself?
Mad. It was so good. I live to see that kind of racing, man. I'm not that kind of driving. It was incredible. My jaw was on the floor, honestly. It's really amazing. I think that's all actually.
It was quite reminiscent of Alonso in the past. in his Ferrari days and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Very similar. It was good to see. I mean, we all sort of started, when we started talking this podcast and stuff about how initially Alonso was a bit underperforming at the start of the season. But I think he's found his feet really well in the Alpine. Because, even like after that 2 years, he had a 2 years break, right? Yeah, 2 years, I think.
Yep.
That 2 years break and then coming back to the sport, it's always going to take you a bit of time to, get up to speed and everything. So, I mean, I had my criticisms, like I had my own opinions where I felt that someone else should have taken that Alpine seat instead of Alonso. But I mean, Alonso's Alonso, man. He's going to prove I'm not going to say hater because I don't hate Alonso, but like he's going to prove his haters wrong. So, and I'm pretty sure he did now. With his recent form, actually, has been pretty good, actually. It's good to see Alpine. I think they were the biggest winners, personally, in my opinion, this weekend because they usually struggle to get both the cars into points, and this time they got both Ocon and Alonso into points. And that race between them, Aston Martin and AlphaTauri is very tight, actually. It's like 10 points separating all three of them. So every point is a very valuable point.
Yep. Anything else to talk about for Alpine?
Just to touch on Alonso, I think he's changed as a person because the last few seasons when he was at McLaren, he was very critical of the team. He used to talk, behind their backs and everything. And I don't know if you all heard this weekend when I think he qualified, was it 11, right? Yeah, even though he didn't make it into Q3, he told the team, it was such a joy to drive the car.
Yeah.
On the circuit. Yeah, and I think that's not something I've heard from Alonso in like years.
Yep. But
So-
I mean, to be fair to Alonso, that 2016 McLaren engine was actually a garbage can inside a
That's
car.
also true. Yeah.
So, but it's true. He used to be a bit. He had the tendency to be a bit toxic at times, but it's nice to see. But I guess it comes down to the team performing well. I think the team is taking good care of him. The team is listening to his advice in terms of the car, I think. So I think if you have a team and a driver who are in such good sync, I think any driver would be happy. So I feel good for Alonso, I guess. It's nice to see him enjoying driving, at the age of 38, 39?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just a small sidetrack. I don't know if this is of any relevance, but like when Alonso was at McLaren, their relationship was actually kind of toxic if you look at it, because Alonso was
terrible.
He was very vocal about a lot of things, and I think back then McLaren didn't really have the best of in-team personnel as well, like the management stuff and everything. So things were just quite haywire. But when Alonso left, Zach Brown took over and everything. There's just this whole drastic change in McLaren, which was actually really rapid to see. Like in actually 3-4 years, McLaren from the back of the grid, they are now practically third best team.
Yeah.
So it's a massive step, but I'm just a shout out to McLaren. I'm not saying that Alonso was the cock in the bottle which caused McLaren to go down, but I think sometimes like BK mentioned, I think Alonso and even Sharath, you mentioned, like Alonso might have probably just gotten to realize that even from his time out that maybe he was a bit too critical about some things. Maybe some things, instead of him wanting it his own way, he let the team take care of it. Things might have gone in a better way. And I think that's sort of what a relationship he's trying to build with Alpine. Like he's trying to give his own input, trying to make sure that, they listen to some stuff, but he's not trying to force things onto Alpine like how he tried on McLaren, in my opinion.
Yep. It's a bit of it's a nice change in character for Alonso, obviously. And finishing just above him was Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
And I think Ferrari in general, they had a very solid weekend here, actually.
Yeah.
For sure, nobody expected them to be challenging for the race win.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much the case for about 50 odd laps until it became kind of unavoidable to concede the position. But wow, what a race it was, right? For Sainz, maybe Ferrari expert can take over.
Don't do this to me, man. I was focusing so much in front. I have no idea. Okay, wait. So okay, let's just look at Sainz weekend overall. Okay, so he qualifying, he finished. He qualified 9th, the Friday qualifying. Sprint, he actually dropped back to 11th. So
because
considering
of the incident.
yeah, so considering that, I think he would have taken a 6th place finish. If you had told him on Saturday, I think he would have taken a 6th place finish. Like 5 places is kind of hard to make up, especially with sometimes the Alpines. This season, I think they've had the drop on Ferrari quite a few times. So Ferrari are not all that. That's the thing. That's why we are so surprised that they were out in front for so long. So I think Sainz, if I'm honest, he struggled to get past Ricciardo. That's the main takeaway from me for this weekend, because he caught up to Ricciardo so easily, and he just couldn't get past. There was a gap of about 4 seconds, and he managed to close that gap in 4 laps, and he just couldn't get past.
Yeah.
So obviously that means that the Ferrari, I think, faster around the corners than on the straights, because even with DRS he was struggling, which is a bit yeah, so it's not a good look. But I think well, how do I even put this?
Well,
when that was happening, oh sorry Yash, let me just
yeah,
finish
it's
up.
okay. Yeah.
So when that was happening, I was starting to get depressed, so I just decided to focus on the top. And then 50 laps
Even
later, I
more
was
depressed.
yeah. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say anyway. It's just it shouldn't be the case where Ferrari is struggling so much to get past. Like, you can catch up to the car, why can't you get past, So I think the team has to think about that. But regardless of that, I think it's overall a successful weekend for Ferrari, given the fact that Leclerc finished 2nd, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, Yash, please continue.
Well, the main reason why Sainz actually fell that back was because he had a very slow pit stop. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So if he had not had a slow pit stop, he might have actually come up ahead of Ricciardo, I think.
Yeah,
and
yeah, okay, go on.
Yeah, but then I mean, I guess I don't know why he couldn't overtake Ricciardo, but I'm guessing the probable reason is that, first of all, Ricciardo defended really well. If you saw, he was actually really pushing pretty hard, and whenever like Sainz got too close, he made sure that he covered he went defensive and made sure that he covered Sainz off. First of all, so you got to give credit to Ricciardo for that as well. It was a long time coming for him. This is his best finish in McLaren, 5th for Ricciardo.
Yeah,
and
very,
also
very well driven by Ricciardo, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good weekend.
Given all the drama, he really flew under the radar. So you need to give credit where credit is due. So
yeah, absolutely.
Pretty good drive.
Absolutely. Like, I watched his pre-race interview, like after sprint qualifying. So he started 6th on sprint, and he said that I think if he gets P5, he would be very happy, because that would be his best ever point scoring position in the McLaren. So that's one thing why I feel Sainz couldn't overtake. And the second thing I feel Sainz couldn't overtake is when he tried to get too close, his tires just started to overheat and he had to fall back. So that just comes to talk about the current generation cars, where you really need a significantly faster car if you want to make a move ahead.
Yeah.
If you are trying to fight for cars on pretty much the same pace, you're going to struggle. Like, we both know the Ferrari and McLaren are actually very close in terms of pace-wise in general. And that is why it proved difficult. Like, if you ask two Mercedes to battle together, I bet apart from team orders, they wouldn't be able to pass each other most of the times, because it's just the current generation cars, the way they are built at the moment.
Yeah.
So I feel that's it. Yeah, go ahead, David.
And also very, very unlucky with the pit stop as well. If I'm not wrong, it was the front left for Sainz that the wheel gun got jammed. Oh no, the wheel gun wouldn't fit into the nut properly. But I was actually watching the race, and the commentator said that it might have been because of the heat. Like I think it's either the gun expanded or the nut expanded. Probably the nut expanded due to the brakes as well. Yeah. So that kind of like those kind of things you can't really control those. So unlucky. But given the hand that he was dealt, I think Sainz did very well, and equally Ricciardo did well also.
Yeah.
I think Sainz's pit was what, 12 seconds?
Yeah, it's 12
Roundabout.
seconds.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Wow.
big.
Just look at it. He could have finished. Yeah, he would have finished 5th if not for that.
Yeah, he could have maybe challenged Lando because he, I think, would have been on fresher tires compared to Lando as well.
Yeah.
So maybe that could have been a battle. But I mean, catching up is one thing, passing is a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, speaking of Lando, Lando also had a horrible pit stop, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
6 seconds, man. Respect. I mean, not respect.
Yeah.
Condolences to my guy, man.
Condolences.
Because
Yeah, man.
it was after that. Because McLaren were like giving it all the beans until that point, and that's why there's such a gap between between Bottas and Norris at the end of the race. I think there's a 17-second gap, something
Yeah.
like that. That was because McLaren actually pulled back. They didn't want to put too much wear on the engine, so they didn't give it full beans. So that's the reason why there's such a big gap. In case anyone who's listening is wondering about that, is Norris was actually very, very fast this weekend, and it sucks. It's like one wheel gun can decide your entire race. But
Yeah, I think he was challenging for the podium, right?
Yeah.
Until that point. But even Norris, right, after in his post-race interview, he said that even despite if that pit stop had gone correctly, he felt that the Mercedes was just too quick eventually. And I think the reason why is that it's just I think is because the difference in tires, where the first stint they did was on the mediums, and McLaren had pretty good pace. In fact, even Ferrari had a very good pace on the mediums. But when it came to hard tires, the hard tires favored the Mercedes a lot better. And we'll come to that eventually with Hamilton's resurgence from the back. And even Bottas had a lot better pace when he went onto the hard tires, whereas both the McLarens and the Ferraris struggled on the hards instead. So I feel that tire difference also made a difference. But I think overall, McLaren finishing P4 and P5, you can be very happy with the way they finished. I mean, Ferrari finished P2 and P6. Yeah, so it's kind of like a very equal kind of a balance between both the amount of points they've gained, this whole weekend, because both of them are very close in the constructors. And I think we have so I think 3 points, 3 or 4 points.
No, actually, in the constructors, it's actually quite big. Just give me a moment. Let's see. So in the constructors, it's 15 points.
Oh, 15.
Yeah, 15 points, and that is after Ferrari just closed this race
this weekend
with like a 4-point advantage over McLaren. So
yeah.
I'm still hoping Ferrari. Hopefully they can finish third, but it doesn't look good because Ricciardo is starting to find his feet. So we might see that gap actually open up, because Leclerc is overachieving with the Ferrari, and it just takes one bad weekend, and we can see McLaren will just sail into the distance, I think. So
Shout out to Lando also, by the way, 15 consecutive point finishes. That's I think the highest anyone in McLaren in the entire history of McLaren has ever achieved.
Oh, dude.
So
it's starting to he's starting to, like, most drivers, they come into F1, they have the rookie season, they get used to the car, and then it's either they stay average or they start climbing, and they start climbing fast. I think now Norris is on the climb. I think he's gonna I won't say he's gonna reach his peak soon, but I feel he's gonna be up there. He's finished third is his highest finish, right?
Yeah, second.
Gonna
third.
Third. So he's gonna be competing for the seconds soon. I can feel it. I think he's putting in some amazing drives. The future looks good.
I always felt that this season Lando has been the third best driver in the entire grid, behind Lewis and Max. Not just in terms of performances, but in terms of just his the way he comes about his self as well. He's just such a lovable guy, Lando. Like, you just can't hate him, man. It's like you have very few drivers on the grid you can really just can't hate them. And I feel Lando is just one of them. And he's only 21. We are forgetting that, by the way. He's the youngest driver on the grid, if I'm not wrong. He's 21.
Tsunoda, yeah.
Oh yeah, Tsunoda is 20, right? Okay, fair enough. But like in terms of that, despite his age, and I know he's had 3 seasons in the team already, but to be performing the way he's performing right now in a McLaren, who are not fast, that fast in terms of like Red Bull and Mercedes, I'm talking about, and he's ahead of both Bottas and Perez. They're second drivers, so and it just speaks volume about how much actually Lando is achieving this season, and I hope it continues. I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you see him moving anywhere? I don't think so, right?
I don't think.
No,
I think Zach Brown will give up his
Yeah.
entire company before he lets Lando move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I think like each team has their own protege, and like McLaren's protege is Lando. Like Ferrari has Charles, Red Bull has Max. I was gonna say Williams have George, but George gonna go to Mercedes.
Don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really just Mercedes have George.
Mercedes have George actually.
Yeah, Mercedes have George, exactly. Yeah. So I don't see him moving for at least the next 3-4 years. Definitely not anywhere.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
I mean, why would you? When you see
Yeah,
McLaren's on
that's
the
true.
upward
Exactly.
trend,
Yeah.
why would you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're on a good trajectory at the moment.
Yeah.
Looking at their last few years and how it's going, so
Yeah.
it's definitely an exciting prospect to
Yeah.
be a driver.
Yeah, these are like, that's one of the things that makes the rule changes and the new cars so exciting, because maybe next year McLaren might be able to actually compete at the top. So it's the possibility of those kind of things that gets me really excited. And yeah, for Norris, he has this amazing camaraderie with the team itself, like not just Zach Brown or his engineers, but all the mechanics. Sometimes he stays back and helps them dismantle all the stations. I don't know if you guys have seen videos of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's called Unboxed on the McLaren channel.
Yeah, McLaren Unboxed.
Yeah. So when you have a driver that's doing all that, and the team, like I said with Alonso, and the team is gelling really well with the driver, I don't think anything can really convince Lando to move out of McLaren. And even if anything convinced Lando, Zach Brown won't let him go. I think he's just gonna throw money at the problem until it goes away.
No, or he's gonna just give Lando his greatest hug ever and just keep him in that hug, not let him out of it. Because every time whenever Lando scores great, he's always like so hyper, and I think there's once Lando even said that Zach actually crushed him so hard that he kind of hurt him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that American sportsmanship,
Yeah.
It's all about hugs and ass slaps.
Yes.
Yeah. So, moving on from Silverstone, we have Hungarian GP coming up in 2 weekends' time. That is 30th July to 1st August. This prediction has gotten extremely difficult once again now. With it's very hard to say now. Last race, I was very confident of Max taking both. Last race, I was like, fingers crossed for Lewis taking the race win, which he did. Not in the way I thought he will, but he won. So now it's much harder for me to call it. Maybe one of you wants to go first.
Okay, Yash, do you want to go first or do I go first?
Sure. I'll go first. I think for me, for pole, I'm going to go for Max, because he's going to be a different beast at Hungary. I can feel it. Yeah. Because we all know Max as a character-wise, he actually is quite, he has the ego in him. And usually you need that ego to get more of a, push and a punch. And I feel that's going to get him the pole and the win this weekend, both.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel the same way. I think Max is pissed, and he's gonna come back out with a point to prove, and he has painstakingly built a gap between himself and Lewis, and that gap has just been closed down by a very, very huge margin. So I think he's gonna go into that world champion mentality, So I think he's gonna come out. He's not gonna pull any punches. I think both P1 and race winner is gonna be Max.
Yeah, let's not forget that because the next race is Hungary, right? It's a very high downforce circuit. Qualifying is very important because it's going to be very hard to overtake at Hungary. in general. So it's mostly going to be like strategy and maybe 1 or 2 overtakes here and there you'll see.
Yeah.
But that just puts a lot of importance on quali, and in terms of, because it's a high downforce circuit, it kind of favors the Red Bull package as well.
Yeah.
That's why I feel probably Max will just come on top both days.
Sharath, your predictions?
Like what Yash mentioned, the Hungarian is a very high downforce circuit. Actually, they nicknamed it the Monaco without barriers. So, with that said, I have a small feeling Lewis might get pole, and Max maybe second. I'm just going to throw in a wild prediction and say maybe Leclerc might get third because Ferrari seem to go well at downforce heavy circuits. But I think Max will still get the win. I think Red Bull still have that overwhelming pace.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree with you guys. I think Max will win. But actually, if the upgrades that Mercedes brought to Silverstone mean anything, I think maybe Lewis can get a pole. But my wild predictions, I actually kind of have 2 somewhat wild predictions. One, I think Max will try and return the favor on Lewis at some point during the weekend.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And 2, I think Leclerc could finish on the podium, maybe P2 even.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be happy if that
especially if
happens.
Lewis doesn't get a good result, then for sure I think Leclerc could get a P2.
Yeah.
I mean, last year the Hungarian, I think it rained, right? And both horses managed to get in the points. I think. Oh no, one of them. Yeah. Magnussen finished in the points, so Nikita 4 points.
Yeah. It'll be nice to see rain as well. Then none of our predictions will mean anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, you never know. It could be even more valuable in the rain, especially Max. It would be a lot easier to take another driver out and blame it on the rain.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can get away with shunting a driver off the track.
Yeah. So as usual, come back in 2 weeks to find out how right or how wrong we were. And well, I guess that's it. And moving on to final segments, L of the week.
Oh,
Red Bull.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Red Bull,
I
0
would say
points across the
Checo
entire
in
weekend.
particular. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. I think there's really no other L of the
Seb.
week.
Yeah.
Seb,
think-
okay. Yeah, if you guys are counting if you guys are counting all that, then also the left front wheel gun for Ferrari.
And I guess the pit stops in general for
Norris,
for Leclerc. I think someone else also had a very
Norris.
Yeah.
Norris.
I think it was just a lot to do with like the weather mostly, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot hotter than anyone expected.
I've been poor the mechanics, the pit stop mechanics after the weather having to make pit stop. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're moving on to dub of the week.
Yep. Anything else for L? No. Double of the week.
Ricardo first. I think.
Oh yes.
I'm just putting his name out there because he had a very very nice weekend. Seems to be finding his feet. Deserving of a dub of the week. We all know what the other nominee is going to be, but
yeah.
The
FI steward.
I was actually thinking that Tarun is going to say Lewis, but I mean, he did come back from a 10-second penalty to win a race.
Controversial, so I don't want us to not get views because of me saying something controversial.
Okay.
But we all know
Ricardo. So Ricardo and Leclerc also.
Yeah, Leclerc. Yeah.
Leclerc, definitely.
I guess just Sainz as well for his recovery. It was a good drive from him.
Yeah.
But also honorable mention L of the week, Sainz, because he couldn't get past.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. So is that it?
But yeah, I mean, breaking your own record for most number of home wins, is that dub of the week worthy? You tell me.
Yeah, I think it is, honestly. I won't hold it against you for giving dub of the week to Lewis, honestly. Yep.
But, it's a controversial week to give him that.
Yeah, sorry, I want to give one to Russell as well, because he basically pulled the Dominic Toretto and put that car in Q3, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So I got to give it to him.
Okay.
It was an amazing qualifying more than anything else. I think his qualifying is just wonderful.
It's just
What a
that Williams need to get their race car right. They need to have a
I think they need to get their starts right.
That's true.
Keep
Russell's not
winning
had the
races at
best of
starts.
starts. Yeah. And
Yep.
But
I
I guess that sums up our dub of the week nominees.
Yeah.
So well, that brings us to the end of our episode. Of course, it's been a very controversial, action-packed, emotional weekend of racing, and it's going to be a Drive to Survive episode that just wrote itself, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we look forward to Hungary, hopefully with a bit less action and a bit more good racing either way. Of course, on behalf of TNT, we'd like to thank you, Sharath, for joining us once again. It's great to have you back, of course. Genius mind of F1.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, sure.
Both the podcasts you had me on, Max Verstappen didn't finish the race.
Oh. All right, Sharath,
Was it the Baku one last? Was it
Yeah.
the Baku one? Oh,
Yes.
right.
Yep, you're back in next week, and every following week after that. I think we should just make you a member of the podcast by now. But yeah, it's been a very long episode. I just saw how long this recording has been.
2
going on.
hours.
Almost 2 hours.
Coming up on that. Coming up quite close. Yeah, so I think it's a good time to end it here. We'll catch you guys after the next race in Hungary. So until then, ciao guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.